Hi, everyone. This is Ed Riegelmann with Critigen. I'm the Chief Geospatial Officer, and we're going to have a conversation today with Bo Wilmer, our Natural Resources Director, and we're going to talk about our work on natural resources solutions. So, Bo, I'm going to start out with a little bit of explanation and some questions. So Critigen has experienced significant growth in our natural resources team and programs. So tell me about what Critigen does for our natural resource clients. We've been doing a lot of work with the Forest Service, right?
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting. The past decade has really been a real growth area for us across the natural resources sector. So it started about a little over 10 years ago when we were awarded a spot on the National GIS Services contract. And over those 10 years now, our Forest Service contracts have equipped us with opportunities to deliver a lot of really groundbreaking work. So it's pretty substantial. The contracts themselves represent a ceiling of about $48 million, and we're pretty well positioned with the Forest Service to really serve any unit, from a local district to a national forest to a region to the Washington office headquarters. And that really gives us a neat view of an agency that needs a lot of help doing GIS to inform decision making. So that Forest Service work has been pretty instrumental in teaching some lessons about how we can scale best practices and leverage Esri technologies to the best effect.
And it sounds like it's been a kind of a catalyst for our own natural resources business. So more specifically, what type of work do we do for the agency?
Yeah, we have a wide variety of work, right? Some of it is strictly data management, some of it is consultation and professional services, some of it is on-site support. And I can give you a few examples, but just to start, a lot of our work is focused through the Geospatial Technology and Application Center of the Forest Service. That's really the headquarters, the GIS headquarters for the agency. And so we do a lot of consultation and work for them directly. We support a team of on-site staff down there, anywhere between 3 and 10 staff over the last 10 years have been working at GTAC. And then we also do a lot of consultation. So some of the more interesting projects I could give you an example of here. A lot of what the Forest Service wrestles with is forest planning. So every forest is required to develop a management plan, usually about every 10 years, that informs and guides really and directs how they're going to make decisions and how they're going to establish priorities for management across the landscape. And the challenge is that you've got 154 national forests, and each of them embarks on this process independently. And so there's a data collection exercise, there's data review, there's considering the different management variables, whether it's exotics or fire or aquatics. There's a whole host of issues that the forests need to address, and they need to be informed by GIS data. And what's really been lacking across the agency is any kind of a systematic, kind of established best practice for how to do that, how to engage in that process. And so a lot of the work that we did was to assemble the data. We worked with a lot of different forests across the West, and we understood what core authoritative data are necessary to inform decisions on any forest in the region. And so we put those data together, we assembled them, we built some tools that help the Forest Service capture their data so that they can identify what those data were when they made the decision they did. And it ushers through a whole geospatial process now for informing each stage of the forest plan revision, from forest assessment through this need for change, for example, to the development of alternatives for the forest to consider with the public. This is a very public-facing process. And so what we did here is summarize somewhat in a story map here. I can show you just a brief example. Again, this is describing the need for change and why it's required as part of the forest planning process. And there's these different chapters that are associated with this document. Historically, this had been a paper document that the Forest Service would spend years working on and writing. And now, through story maps and GIS data, we can start to represent not only the data that inform those decisions, but we can really organize our work more consistently across forests. And so in that way, forests don't really have to just start from scratch wondering what data they should assemble, and they can actually rely on some repeatable best practices that really represents an efficiency in time and money and effort. So again, this is a great way to represent how maps can inform the decision-making process, and there's a number of chapters here that we roll through. But that's just one example. I could give you a different example here where we focus on recreation. So if you go to the home page of the Forest Service, what's really exciting is at that home page, you can identify the Forest Service interactive visitor map. And so we worked closely with the Forest Service and GTAC to build this application that facilitates the public's awareness of where they can go camping or hiking or biking, and where they can take advantage of all these different recreational opportunities across the landscape. So you can see that we can zoom in anywhere and identify campsites, for example, on Forest Service land. But what's neat about this is there's a whole lot you could do under the hood here, and I won't share it all in detail. But that was one need that the Forest Service had to represent all of its recreation opportunities across the country, but then they also wanted it rendered in a mobile app. And so not only did we develop that as a desktop application, web application, but we also developed the same tool for native iOS and Android devices. So this is exciting, and it represents our capacity not only to build pretty intuitive and helpful, relevant web applications, but also we bridge those same functions to the mobile environment. Just I'll give you a final, go ahead, Ed.
I got to tell you that the visitor map is great. I live right on the edge of the National Forest here in Colorado, so I use it all the time to go hiking.
Totally, yeah. It gives you routing. It understands, helps you make reservations. You can even make campsite reservations through the app. So really, it's a showcase piece for the Forest Service. And then there's some other consultation work, like professional services work. In this case, I'll give you just a snapshot of a dashboard that we built for Region 8 of the Forest Service, and this is to represent where they've done their fuel treatments. You know that fire has been a major issue over the last several years, and as climate changes, we're going to see fire increasingly play a much bigger role across the landscape than it has historically. Forest Service needs to understand how they're going to get in front of this issue and how they're going to allocate and how they're going to position their fuel treatments most strategically. And so this represents a dashboard that we built for the Forest Service. It is pulling from internal corporate data. That's why we see a snapshot here of it. But it is a dynamic dashboard that relies on ArcGIS Online and corporate authoritative data from the Forest Service to represent where they've done their fuel treatments on any forest in Region 8, which is the southeast of the country. So just to give you a sense, I'm not sure if that's helpful, but it gives you kind of a sense that we do this on-site support, we do dedicated cartography, we do data management and data stewardship. But a lot of what we're really best at is this type of consultation work where we can pull together a team of experts who really know the technology, and they also understand the natural resources challenges facing the Forest Service. So yeah, the Forest Service has been a great runway for us to build this type of capacity for natural resources management.
So that really is a helpful view of our long history working for the Forest Service. What about similar work for other federal agencies?
Yeah, this is great news because we've just learned this month that we were awarded a spot on the 10-year BLM National GIS Services contract, and that's really exciting. It gives us a great new opportunity to employ and to apply these same lessons that we've learned with the Forest Service to another analogous, very large federal land management agency. And then beyond that, we're also doing work with the Department of Interior and the Federal Geo Platform, a real showcase website that allows the public and agencies to direct access to data pipelines. You all may be familiar with data.gov historically. That's been a metadata repository to understand where authoritative federal data sit and how to access them. And the work that we're doing with the Department of Interior is really intended to take it a step further through this federal geo platform and equip the public with direct data pipelines that are authoritative and harvested from the agency on a regular rotation. So this is exciting. It gives us another good vantage across a whole wide variety of natural resources agencies, everything from the Department of Interior, including the Forest Service at the Department of Ag. And so all those constituent agencies and bureaus are working together and with us to deliver those authoritative data. It's a really exciting time for Critigen, and the Forest Service and the BLM and the Federal Geo Platform just represent how we've grown this type of capacity to deliver vital, relevant information efficiently to inform decision making. It's exciting.
Yeah. So you just listed out our work for the Forest Service. You talked about the new work we're doing on GeoPlatform for FGDC, the Federal Geographic Data Committee for Department of Interior. And of course, now we have the Bureau of Land Management opportunity, which is great. Fantastic update. So it looks like Critigen is quickly becoming, the go-to provider of geospatial technologies and data for natural resource agencies.
Yeah, it feels good to be able to say that, and I think that's something that we've been working for the last 10 years. And so it's not from a lack of effort, and it's really rewarding to be able to see these efforts pay off. And we're hopeful that our clients can benefit in the same way. So I think that they all have the same need for rendering geospatial data intuitively and transparently. And especially across these large agencies, it's important to represent that we can scale these best practices and these efficiencies so that we are really leveraging the technology in an enterprise fashion, the way it was intended.
Perfect. So all you viewers out there, if you want to know more about this, please come to our virtual booth at the Esri UC, and we'd love to talk more about this.
I'd be happy to. Looking forward to it.
Cool. Bye-bye.
Thanks.